I love data. Now, if you're new to the channel, you may not know that, but if you've seen any of my videos, then this will come as no surprise to you. And because I love data, today we're going to walk through 3 different ways you can go about finding and analyzing your Spotify performance data. Now, if you're new here, my name's Tom, and on this channel, we talk about music marketing, branding, business, and a host of other things that are going to help us move from making music as a hobby to making music as a business. And today is all about data. There are several different ways that I like to go about finding out my data on Spotify. And that's not to mention the dozens of other ways that I know of that you can find your data on Spotify. Now, there are lots of sites out there that will allow you to access data from not just Spotify, but performance data from Apple Music and Tidal and YouTube and Instagram and a whole slew of other things should you be interested. Now, most of those platforms are paid to access if you want to get any sort of data at all. So the 3 that we're going to talk about today are free methods that you can utilize without having to pay anything month to month. Now, before we dig in, this video is brought to you by the Spotify Artist Accelerator. The Spotify Artist Accelerator is a brand new course that I just launched that goes live tomorrow, Friday, October 15th, and will teach you everything I know about advertising on Facebook to grow your audience on Spotify. So if you want to check it out and you want to join our community as well, hit the link in the description of this video, go sign up, and we'll see you inside. Now let's dig into the 3 sites that I use to track my data on Spotify. Now, the first platform will come as no surprise to you. It's Spotify for Artists. But the reason I want to mention Spotify for Artists is because they are constantly adding new ways to see your data and analyze it, which is really cool. For example, if you go to the Audience tab, this Followers tab used to not be here. This is something that they have recently added in the last several months to showcase more of what's going on with you as an artist on the platform. And I mention this because some of the other things that we're going to explore in the next 2 platforms have data that is available that's not available in Spotify for Artists yet. But my hope is that because it's available through these other platforms, it will ultimately become available here on Spotify for Artists because Spotify has access to it. They're tracking it. While we're on Spotify for Artists, the main things I like to look at are listeners, my streams, and my followers. I like to analyze this over time. And then every so often, I like to have a snapshot of where my traffic is coming from and source of streams, and specifically my listener's age. Your listener's age is going to be far more important early on when you're trying to find your listener base, your fan base. Once you kind of get that dialed in, this part's probably not going to change as much as it does when you're first starting to advertise and figure out who it is that likes your music. Now, the second platform that I like to check out from time to time is a website called Musicstax. That's musicstax.com. And Musicstax is a great way to get a snapshot of your music and a snapshot of other music if you want to do something like create a playlist of similar songs. Find playlists that you want to pitch to Spotify's editorial team by comparing your song and its data to other songs that appear on that playlist. For example, you want to make sure that your song's mastered to a level that's going to be competitive with the other tracks on the playlist. So you might go to that playlist, pick out a couple of songs, come and drop the title in here, and see the mastering level of that track so that when you go to master your next song, you can make sure that it's loud enough and it will compete. Let's look up my name here on Musicstax and see what we have available to us. So first thing, we'll check out my track Hero. This has all of this great metadata in here that you'll find in other websites if you decide to look for it. Things like danceability, energy, positiveness. These are all sort of metrics about the song and what makes it up. Another really important one is the song's popularity score. And this is something that's not available on Spotify for Artists, which is why I like to come to Musicstax to figure this out sometimes, because it helps me understand how my song is performing on Spotify. The popularity score is made up of a lot of different factors. It's an algorithm that goes into it that I don't know the ins and outs of, but I do know that the more streams you get, the more listeners, the more saves, the more popular your song becomes on the platform. And the more popular your song becomes on the platform, the more likely it is to climb the ranks of algorithmic and editorial playlists over time. So popularity is very important, and it helps to track this information on a daily basis. The other part that's important to look at by track is the loudness right here. Now, as I mentioned before, if you're trying to pitch to the editorial team at Spotify, having a song that's mastered to compete alongside the other songs on the playlist is a very effective strategy to use. And it is worth noting that sometimes this may be a little bit different than it appears in your DAW when you export your track. And before we leave off of Musicstax, we can also check things out by artist. So I can go to my artist profile here and I can see how many followers I have, and I can see the most recent songs that I have released. The third website that I love to use is Spotify's own developer panel, specifically the console portion of this. So this is the developer panel from Spotify, and this is the console. Now, there are a ton of different things that you can do with Spotify's developer panel. If you're a coder and you watch my channel, then you've likely heard of Spotify's developer panel, and you can pull tons of information from this API. And this is what all of these websites are built off of, Musicstax included. If you really want to get into the nitty-gritty of your data and you know just a little bit about code, like I do, which is very, very little, you can kind of navigate around here and find some stuff. There's a lot of stuff you can do here. You can read up on how all this works. You can talk to other people and learn from them. You can see how to use some of this information and this API in building apps and adding it to certain platforms. But what I like to do is go to the console and find a little bit of information about my song and about myself as an artist so that I can track that on an ongoing basis. So the first thing I like to do is go to artists on the left and then get an artist. And from here, you need to drop in your artist ID. Now to find that, we're going to go to Spotify and go to our artist page, click the three dots, share, and copy link to artist. When we get back here, we'll need to select get token, request token, and this will give us access to using the developer panel. And then we'll paste in that link. Now from here, we don't need all of this information. We really just need this bit in the middle right here. So we're going to get rid of everything after the question mark, and we're going to get rid of everything before the string of numbers. And then we're going to select try it. And here we get a couple of important pieces of information that will be of use to us if we track it over time. Now, the first one is the total number of followers that we have. And the reason I like to pull it from here is because this is the most up-to-date number that is available. If we look here, I have 8,045 followers. If we go to Musicstax, I have 7,984. And if we go to Spotify for Artists, I have 8,022. So you can see these results are returned over a few different days, and they're not always up to date with the current number. But Spotify's developer panel is. That's why I always pull this number from here. Also, I get my artist popularity score, which right now is currently 27. Other tools that pull data from this API will tell you this, but Spotify for Artists doesn't tell you, and Musicstax doesn't tell you. So again, this is a +1 in the box for the developer panel here. And then after that, the last thing I like to do with the developer panel is go to tracks and then get a track. And from here, we're going to do kind of the same thing we did with our artist ID. So if we go back to Spotify and we select a track, we'll select Hero, go to Share, and copy Song Link. We go back here, paste this in, and again, we'll remove everything from the question mark to the end and everything before the slug. After that, we'll click Try It. Now we get a bunch of information about our track. We've got a lot of URL stuff, the artist, my name, the markets where it's been released and available. We get information by release, by album. In this case, it's a single, so this information is basically a duplicate. But in the event that you have an album, you'll get more information about that here. Then coming down, we get the entire duration of the song in milliseconds. This is one of the reasons why if you're going to re-upload a track and you use the same metadata, the duration of the track is important because Spotify tracks this all the way down to the millisecond. We've got the ISRC code if you want to grab it. We've got the name of the song and then the song's popularity score, which is 35. And I use all of these websites to track my data over time, especially over the first 4 weeks when I drop a song, so I can understand the performance both of that song and I'll have it for later when I release a new track. All of this information can really help you be a little bit more calculating in how you release your music and how well you expect it to perform. So these are 3 ways that I love to grab my data and analyze it on Spotify. Now, there are plenty of platforms out there that will aggregate all of this data for you at a fee. If you want to pay a few bucks a month and access all of this information, by all means, have at it. But if you want to go free 99 like I do, these 3 sites are a great place to go and grab your information. So that's it for this video. If you don't subscribe to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And at the end here, I've got a couple videos you can check out. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.